Your program Big Talk on Global TV. My name is Topsy Gimba, sitting in for my colleague Ubong Usoro. Big Talk is a program that you watch on this channel from Monday all the way to Sunday, where we look into issues, discuss them holistically. Of course, I'll be joined on this program this evening from Lagos by an analyst who is going to talk to us on African democracy, whether or not we are building it for the continent or we are not. Looking at the way African countries are, we have seen military taking over from some countries in the continent, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Gabon. And even Burkina Faso, these are countries so far that they have slowed down the progress of a democracy growth in this country, or in this continent, I'm sorry. And some analysts are of the opinion that this had actually affected, the growth of democracy in some countries like Nigeria and many others. So the guest that will be speaking with us this evening via WhatsApp call from Lagos in the person of Yemi Ojo, who is a public affairs analyst, will continue to tell us, the best way of really handling the democracy in the African continent, whether to build it or sustain it. That will be the way we will be looking at on this program this evening. And I believe he understands the way democracy works in Nigeria and any other place in the African continent. If you look at the Western world, Europe and including America, things are done orderly in the manner that, secession in leadership, comes on board. And when the other government expires, the other one takes over and then continue with the policies or project of the immediate past government. But in some African countries, sometimes leaders sit so tight. Practical example is that of Cameroon, Uganda, and many others who have been in government and refuse to step aside. The question here is, are we really doing so much for the development of democracy in the African continent, and then ensuring that it is sustained becomes the question that our analysts will be telling us this evening on Big Talk. So let me find out whether or not he's already listening to us. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hello, Mr. Yemi Ojo.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
And
Good evening, sir. I hope you are calling us from Lagos, I guess.
Yes, I am calling you.
Yeah, okay.
Lagos.
Basically, the topic we are discussing this evening is politics, building and sustaining democracy in the continent. In your own opinion, as the person who analyzes some of these issues, what can you really say about countries in the African continent as compared to what we know in the developed climate?
Well, coming from our own peculiar nature and environment and territorial space on the continent of Africa, we will have to look at it vis-a-vis how long we have enjoyed democracy and what the ideologies of our own democratic parties or political parties have become in the years after which we gained independence in Nigeria. The African politics and then building and sustaining democracy on our own continent. Where have we come to? Let's look at Nigeria today. We are 26 years in our democracy from 1999, the Fourth Republic. There have been interventions and interruptions of military in our politics and in our democracy that has set us back. Even in contemporary times, we have seized of power from military arrangements that have taken over some parts of the African continent, dividing us and taking us aback. What are the ideologies of our political parties? What were the ideologies that they stood for? When we had regional governance, when we had infrastructural development, when we even had a oneness and a purpose of the Nigerian country. Looking at it from our own perspective of Nigeria, then that affects the world, and looking at how we were also instrumental in bringing democracy into other areas of the continent. We were very instrumental in ending apartheid and bringing for democracy in South Africa in 1994, why Nelson Mandela Madiba became president. There are political parties from that time that are still standing ground. And if you look at it and juxtapose it with what is happening in the Western climes, how have their own parties, the Republican, the Democrats, been able to stand ground? Where are we tilting to in Nigeria, if I will ask now, as it concerns our own political parties and the ideologies that they stand for? In this Fourth Republic, we have seen a collapse and a recollapse and a joining together of political parties to form different things. Now there's an ADC coming on board. We want to challenge the APC. What is happening to the PDP? What is the ideology? Where do they stand? These are the areas of our concerns, and where we'll look at it and say, is there a way forward? Can we correct these abnormalities? Institutions and the policies that will come out from these institutions are what are going to make our democracy or our sovereignty strong on the continent. And it will come from a political party. The political party in America, the Republican political party, are war men. President Donald Trump, PUTOS has renamed Pentagon to the Department of War. Democrats are seen to be a little like conservative people that want to go here and there and not just make so much, in our country and with our institutions. How can we make a pathway so that the other countries on the sub-region can follow suit and say that our institutions and our political parties are making a headway for others to follow?
Yeah. You know, what surprises me was in the African continent, most of these people in some other countries in Africa often see Nigeria as their America. But ourselves that we are here, we all know the challenges that the country is going through. Like you rightly mentioned, political parties with their political ideologies sometimes do not sustain what we say today as democracy. It appears as if the individuals who are considered to be key players are doing it basically for themselves and for themselves alone. And so when some people from outside this country, within this continent, often see us as a thing that's supposed to emulate, I often lament. And I don't see us, we are likely going to make any headway looking at the way things are.
Looking at the way things are and making a headway is on the Nigerian people and the sensitization of political participation. What is the base of patriotism of an average Nigerian? Where does the Nigerian see him or herself in the affairs of leadership or elective participation? Is there a confidence level that if I go and participate, then my participation will amount to what my choice is? Is there a sensitization to the average and young Nigerian population of the benefits of coming together and putting minds together and then profiling solutions? Because that's the population that is productive, and a population that will bring about a betterment and an increase and repair of nation. What is our position on the sub-region? Is there corruption? Is there misplacement of priorities? Are there divisions on the basis of ethnicity and religion? So, In us lies the repair. In us lies the forwardness of country, of ideology, of participation. Okay, are there now areas that, okay, people can go and register in a political party? What is this party standing for? What is this party known to do in different states and over time? Not that you just, because you want to be selfish or protect yourself, in as much as we know that in politics, it's just your interest that's paramount and dominates. But if you want to be selfless, if you want to follow the people's aspirations, are you going to decamp from ship to ship, from party to party? We have leaders that have gone around maybe all the political parties that have metamorphosed over time in the Fourth Republic. So what are we going to pass down to other people or the generations that you want to preach the repair to? In South Africa, there's the ANC. From inception in Ghana in 1957, that they got their own independence. Have there also been interruptions of the military? We are celebrating 65 years of independence, and we're celebrating 26 years of interrupted democracy.
Yes. Yeah,
So
of
the
course.
African politics and the building and sustaining of this democracy must come from a place of collective interactions with our leaders and the bodies and the sub regional organizations that we have here and there. It is a democratic arrangement that Africa should be safe, that terrorism, banditry, and all of this, because all of them are concomitantly and intricately interwoven. They are together. It's a web. And if we can remain in the council of the wise, then we can proudly have continuous discussions in the area of our politics, in building and sustaining our democracy on the sub-region of Africa and our continent.
So, I wanted to find out from you,
Yes, sir.
Yemi Ojo, why are we like that in this continent? What has brought about this low in development? What has brought about this poor ideology to ensure that democracy is sustained in the country? What brought about that? Is it because we are greedy, we are selfish, or we don't even have the knowledge of what democracy stands for in this continent? You can imagine a person that will be elected into government for a period of either 5 or 6 years. By the time he gets there, he stays there more than 40 or 42, 45. Like in Cameroon, for instance, even when he is even dying because of age, he refuses to step aside and still continues to go into election until he was able to win and declare the winner in the just concluded election in October. Why African leaders are like that?
One of the reasons why we'll have African leaders to be sit-tight leaders are answered in the question that you've asked. We have leaders that are selfish and intentionally selfish. We have leaders that are never ever going to want to relinquish power. We have seen it. Let's not forget, even in our own Fourth Republic, between 1999 and 2007, there was an alleged purportment of the then President Olusegun Obasanjo to want to have done a third term. But there were, people that stood up, and then there were also correspondences to this nature. Alejikan Salakachin, there was Brian Mantu that had memoirs and spoke about this kind of things and occurrences. However, howbeit in this present time, with people that are aged and almost incapacitated, but because of that selfish nature of family, of name, and of greed, say, no, we are doing sit tight, we are not leaving this power. And people sometimes gullible because of mediocrity in followership and non-sensitization of the African continent, by and large. The parties that were before now, when we had regional government in Nigeria, for example, were parties that had ideologies that were implemented and served to the betterment of the people. Even the institutions of Libya, when Muammar Gaddafi, Colonel, was in charge, had policies. That was not a democracy, however, to deviate a bit. But the institutions and the arrangement of governance were able to be felt by the people. Do we have that coming out from our own political parties and the leadership that they carry on now? Why is a state governor just going to wake up and say, because of 2027 or my re-election now, I have to decamp to this party? Is that right? And other areas where, because of our orientation as a peculiar people in every areas of politics and all of that too. Now you see somebody that in the palace of Nigeria is maybe like a collar man or a clergyman or an ustaz or an imam that becomes a governor or something. There's a change. And again, in sustaining these things, our democracy, because we are peculiar people, can we introduce some kind of nativeness into our discourse? Languages that will make the people understand what is being said, policies, implementation, translation to the common man, security, power, coexistence, the things that come with democracy, that is for the people and by the people and for the people. Not that there is fear and apprehension, or there's a divide on ethnicity. Even the West, sometimes, do they help our matters? If you want to compare with them, do they help our matters? But again, as we have said, let us remain in the counsel of the wise, such that, okay, now there's the APC, there's the ADC trying to come up. There's also a trying to call back of Konkwesiya and the movement back to APC. Is the Labour Party in effect? How long has it lasted? There was a movement in 2023. What is the momentum going forward? But if you look at other countries and other climes, you see a political party that has lasted for several years. A senator that maybe has been elected maybe for 40 years. Are we getting to a place of stability, or are we still wanting to take baby steps? The choice is ours to make, and the implementations are of our institutions to carry out.
It appears that the future is actually very bleak because I don't see ourselves getting the best out of it, or either to talk about sustainability in our democracy. Like, for instance, if you look at the way things are really going on in this country, building up towards 2027, the entire political parties have been collapsed into one political party. And I want to find out from you, in the course of your study as a political scientist, do you see an African country practicing one political system and then the people will benefit from it?
No, on the contrary, I think we are metamorphosing into a place of of organic growth of our democracy. How do I mean? The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming on board in 2023 and haven't carried on up until this time will understand that the policies of government, the playing field of politics, however rough, tough, and growing, it will come out to be of the betterment for the Nigerian populace. There is disarray in the PDP. I think sometime back, I'm not too sure on what fora, the president had made very clear that he was not going to help the PDP to try and clear up their mess or something of that nature.
Yeah, he made that at the National Assembly when he celebrated with the lawmakers and said he was even jubilating for the crisis within.
Okay. And that's coming from a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that is the leader of the APC. The problems in the Labour Party, Julius Abure and Peter Obi not being in the same page with Dati, his vice at the time. Are we going to say that democracy and political parties, their growth, however, and truly the growth of these political parties are very crucial? The sustenance of these political parties in ideology are very essential for democratic growth upon the continent of Africa. I would not agree that it is bleak for now. Because in 1993, when the SDP and the NRC came out at the time, with President the candidacy was given to MQ Abiola, Moshood Kashimawo, Olawale Abiola, and Babagana Kingibe of Kano. There was also Tofa from Kano, and there was the Muslim ticket. But the ideology of politics and democracy was not as divided as we have it today on the lines of religion and ethnicity. Where did we get it wrong? How can it be repaired? The Western world is also coming to us with a religious card of a genocide in a religious manner. What is that to do to us? What is it already doing to us as a people? So where's the policy in these political parties of oneness? First of all, that we as a country and the sovereignty of Nigeria continue to preach the indivisibility, the sustenance, the respect of our sovereignty. President Donald Trump called Nigeria a disgraced country. As a sovereign nation, the leader of the black race on the continent, we need to look inwards now. Very much critically so. And rejig and reconfigure and get to the place of that pinnacle that we are as the African people. Our president flies on the Eagle One. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu flies on the Eagle One, 001. The symbol of the eagle is not mediocre. The symbol of the eagle is that which takes you to the place of the pinnacles of the great. That is who we are. And it is high time that we get there in policies, in practice, in party. If the ADC is going to be main opposition and the PDP has collapsed, so be it. But institutions must wake up to the call of making sure that there's continuance of institutional repair. There was free education, there was agriculture in some regions, There were some places where some regions were good and then they maintained and they continued. There is manufacture. But most importantly, security is what is going to be the base of all of this collectiveness, of all of this sustainability, and of the importance of the African continent in the place of the world. Again, God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Again.
Yeah, I remember of a book that is called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney.
Walter Rodney,
As you,
yes.
as you
Very
rightly
excellent.
mentioned, you know, where the Western world, particularly the United States of America, is using religion as the basis of coming to, you know, set the security aspect of this country in the way he thinks is correct. Do you see that as a false kite being flown for us to embrace it, and then at the end of the day, we finally become completely underdeveloped, like the way they stated it in the book written by Walter Rodney?
Actually, it is a wake-up call for us not to get into the places of being an underdeveloped country by Europe or the West. Our underdevelopment grossly is caused by our corruption and the aiding and abetting by Western worlds and institutions and authorities as well. The collaborativeness of our sovereignty and the United States of America should be strengthened now. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the cabinet should be able to proffer with collaborations in foreign affairs, diplomacy, and strategy. Ambassadors that are of repute and that can handle some kind of correspondences and the face of interactions between our country and the other countries of the world. We totally say no to an invasion in the ways and the manners and the words of President Donald Trump. No. Nigeria now, are we go? The National Orientation Agency, there's insecurity on the land, Abi. What are we doing in the places of organic Nigeria? Can we speak our languages on air? Can we speak Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, or Takpa or something from an indigenous place and make sure that we have cohesion and make sure that we have oneness, that we cannot be broken or fragmented? That our oneness as in the spirit of Ubuntu is upheld. This is the Fourth Republic of Nigeria. This is also the largest period that we have enjoyed democracy. And we are the leaders of Africa. So is it by all of those kind of charlatancy that we saw displayed by the PDP in Wadata Plaza that will make us to say young Nigerians should want to come and go and register and get party membership of political parties? There is a saying in my place that says, "Eshiwaju di tenyuwo sare," the horse in front is the one that the one behind looks at to run. Leaders, can we remember the formation of the PDP? Alex Ekweme, emergence, contention with Olusegun Obasanjo, the other party, Olufalaye, and the progressions of democracy and the building of these institutions over time. What do they stand for? Is the APC a progressive party? Are we seeing some changes? Do we want to fight insecurity once and for all? Are they going to say there's the mandate on the mandate of Mr. President? Or is it renewed hope initiative or agenda? In 1993, there was hope. MKO Abiola, Hope 93. In 2023, you renewed hope in Amukenzi. So these are the nitty-gritties of the honesty that we need to face. irrespective of tribe, irrespective of political affiliations, irrespective of religion, because these are the areas where we have been divided and rent asunder into fragments, that there is now a crack where there can be divisions. Libya was taken out, Gaddafi was taken out, the suffering has come down through the Sahel to where we are today. Light arms and proliferation of weapons. So we learn from our mistakes to correct where we are going to in front.
Are you of the opinion that the people in the African continent are gradually becoming fed up with the kind of democracy we practice? Why I'm saying this is because you notice so many of these African countries that have really been taken over by the military junta. Is it in Niger? Is it in Gabon? Is it in Burkina Faso? Or anywhere at all? Are people becoming fed up?
What has happened over time is that people have now become exposed to the realities of post-colonialism and imperialism in some areas. France, and under the presidency and leadership of Macron, has been taken aback, and there has been a setback for 3 countries to say no. We want to disengage with the alignment of France, and we want to be in the place of international relations with Russia because of what is on the ground. And we know that the Westerners are very smart people, because they look at the Africans as people that they always want to undermine and want to underdevelop to their own advantage. In most cases, even with the aids that have come or that keep coming. However, what do we stand to gain when we repair our institutions and when we stand for ourselves, amongst ourselves, that no division will come and work and divide us? If the people stood by Gaddafi in Africa, in Libya, and African leaders, no, now we will not be where we are today, with all of this kind of gross insecurity. Because from the Lake Chad and the Sahel and ISIS and ISWAP, and then there are other places, even other new cells that have sprung up. There needs to be a critical intelligence arrangement. Again, how are these things sustained? Is by having a democracy that continues. Because if anybody comes, there will be this dislodgement of policies. In most cases, as we see it, this party comes on board, every other thing that this person has done before, it is discarded and not continued, which is not supposed to be so. Even among states, we suffer this kind of things, let alone on the larger structure of country and on the continent, other countries too. So all of this has to be put in deliberately, sensitization of our people. Let's protect our people and stand for them. There should be a common cement of purpose, vigor, and intentionality of Nigeria to safeguard the African continent and accomplish confidence in these areas of democracy and political parties as they were.
Now, let me find out from you, Yemi Ojo. Can Nigeria as a country retrace itself to the rebuilding of democracy in a better way than they always see it today? And I'm more concerned, again, looking at the way these political parties that are being formed, particularly those who consider themselves to be members or leaders of the political parties, who at one time we knew where they were in their various states the responsibilities they had. And today, they are regrouping and trying to tell Nigerians that what the present administration is doing is not the best way to go. But again, these people who are saying so, at one time were leaders in various states. So if you want to rebuild democracy and making it strong for everybody to come after us to enjoy, do you see these people who make a lot of noise today in these political parties saying the correct thing?
No. I would admonish and prefer a solution in introduction of new political players. Our young, the population of Nigeria and the sub-region are the young people. There have been some demonstrations in some countries by the Gen Z that have allowed for a regime change, or even we had some in Kenya. We had some in some places in the continent of Africa. But what is the implementation of convincing these young Nigerians to participate in this area? What are we telling them as per the future of Africa, the future of Nigeria, the future generations that are them, because the future is here already, and the continuance of this future? Are you going to be happy if you see people that were... It's just in our eyes last week, they charade in Ibadan of a political party. Okay, are we sure that even the contestants and the merger of ADC in the fight of 2027, is it based on ideology, or that is just some people that are aggrieved and want to do something to obstruct the process? And in Nigeria today, the continent, they watch us. We are the people that are watched to shape, address, and uphold a trend on the continent. So, okay, now we have insecurity. How are we addressing it? What are the policies of this government and this political party that is in leadership and that wants to come in 2027, we'll be there from 2027 to 2030 or 31 or thereabout? Can you see the long time? What are the policies? Yes, some we can building bridges and doing some infrastructural policies. Okay, there are some policies in some areas of in infrastructure. There are some policies in some area of education. Are we saying we want to teach languages? Are we saying we want to discard it? These kind of things and cardinal points from election period to being elected, and people-orientated participation, constructively, is the ideology in itself that will be sustained and that will transcend into a carrying of our continent forward. We saw what happened in Singapore. And we have leaders too here. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, Sardauna ma da kansa. So can we retrace our steps? Yes, we can. Can we inform for a purposeful ideology system that is carried along with the people, that is internalized with the people, and that is brought to bear? Yes, we can. If I'm walking on the road now and I'm eating a banana, I'm not going to throw the banana.
Okay. Yemi, I believe you can re-establish your contact with us. This is Big Talk on Global TV. We are being viewed on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. And we are all over the social media handles. So just click and watch us wherever you might be universally. I wanted to find out from an analyst, that's Yemi Ojo. If you look at the National Assembly, it's the only arm of government in all the three arms of government we have that can actually tell you that a country is practicing democracy. But of recent time, if you look at the way the National Assembly conducts itself on national issues, you will agree with me to a very large extent that it has been bought over. And so if democracy will be seen to be growing, we cannot say the present crop of National Assembly is actually doing enough for the sustainability of democracy in Nigeria, because they are basically doing things only for themselves and probably satisfying the executive who are in power.
There are a couple of standout senators within the Senate arm of the National Assembly, and so also are some in the House of Reps. And you know, the National Assembly being the legislative arm of government, being the people elected to speak and interfere and interface with the other institutions such as the judiciary and the executive, have a large extent in stabilizing and being the engine room of our democracy. Over the years, what have we had? Some, as you have said, will call the National Assembly the 10th Assembly of different names. But the National Assembly is a place of interaction, is a place of lobbying, is a place of politicking. It's not a docile place. However, because of the politicking and what we are seeing, when you have a larger number in politics, which is, by the way, the most important dominator of politics and power, of who gets what, when, and how. Numbers. There are 109 senators and 365 House of Rep members. Today, Senator Godswill Akpabio of the former PDP, now in the APC, Senate leader, I think Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele of Ekiti State, Ekiti Central, Barau of Kano, and we have the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas of Zawzaw, and Kalu of the Southeast. So, are these people not supposed to be the composite nature of the oneness and the integrity of our democracy? Are they doing exactly what we want them to do? No. Are they getting it right? Maybe. Should they get it better? Yes. Because we also begin to see that people are becoming more participatory in government. People are becoming more participatory in the conversations of policies. There have been tax arrangements, there have been talks around tax, there have been interactions. We are having hearings. Are these people at the National Assembly being, are their oversight functions being critically carried out? In the areas of health, in the areas of roads, security, enablement of the dividends of democracy. So, we have not gotten it right. But again, because of the interruptions that happened before now, if we had had an uninterrupted, maybe 65 years of existence of the Nigerian state in democracy, I believe strongly and very well so that our progressiveness will have transferred and transpired more than where we are now. But be that as it may, it is the institutions of government, the people, the power players, that will bring forth the respect, the honor, and the greatness of the Nigeria that is supposed to be for Nigeria? What are we saying to ourselves as indigenes and citizens of this country? What are we saying about some policies that divide us? For instance, you go somewhere and you see that they are saying the state of origin. Are these not things that are archaic? Are these not things that are a pullback syndrome? So it is on us to preach, practice, build, and transfer. What is the succession plan of our democracy? What is the succession plan of our institutions? If we can get these bases right, then we can continue and build and rebuild and continue and progress. God helping us again. But our intentionality must be a very, very concrete and practical resolve.
Okay. Yemi Ojo, assuming you were to write a book, for people who are just coming into the system newly, with these myriad of challenges we have been discussing on, what basically will you prefer as solutions going forward for a nation to become strong and sustainable democratically?
The Nigerian people must begin to be talked to about our oneness. The National Orientation Agency and the institutions of family must begin to preach about oneness of Nigeria. Our political parties and our leaders must be seen to be active in the areas of making sure that the people that they govern understand that there is governance, there is a respect of the people, the sovereignty and the sanctity of life. In these times of here and now, what can we do to make sure that people are understanding that there's government, security? What can we do in the places that will understand that, okay, let us bring ourselves together, removing from ethnic divides and religious bigotry? Our traditional leaders, our religious leaders, the institutions and the culture of society, all of these things are layers and myriads and layers of interactions that cannot be disconnected from one or the other. And because we are a traditional people, ordinarily, as Africans, we must go back to the basis. We must go back to the family structures. We must go back to the places of maybe where you had your umunadi, or you had your traditional village meeting or something. But we must go back to preach, repair, inclusivity, and indivisibility of the Nigerian people. How do we do this? Remove the barriers, remove the obstacles in our young people that hold the ace and hold the cards to the greatness and implementation of this greatness. Young minds in technology, in proximities, in sports, in arts. We are a diverse people, so there is diversiveness of how to come together and be one. Have we truly healed from the civil war? What are we saying about Nnamdi Kanu? How are we coming back to say, yes, we are not doing secession, but we are doing oneness on common grounds of brotherhood of Nigeria?
Yeah.
So if I was to write a book, and if I'm going to write a book,
it's a public affairs analyst calling from Lagos. as a way of signing out the program, if he's still there, I just need him to say one or the two things. And then we finally draw the curtains to the program, having really understood the direction of his own analysis this evening on Big Talk.
For the Nigerian people and for our forwardness and continuance in the place of Africa, in the place of the population of the black race, we must stand tall. We must allow for the institutions of state, the policies that are going to come out, to reshape us, to bring us together, to remove divisions, to remove altercations that are going to take us backwards. This is a time for Nigeria, for Africa, and the continent to get it right.
Okay.
We are going to also be engaging, and we should engage with other countries that are not in democratic standing, so that together we can and should be the pride to the other parts of the world. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria again.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Well, that's how far we can go on the program Big Talk on Global TV. My name is Topsy Gimba, and I had a guest who called from Lagos, and the person of Yemi Ojo. He is a public affairs analyst. And we really wanted to know whether or not politics in Africa can be built and sustained. And from the analysis he made, it's clearly understood that indeed we still have a long way to go, but there are certain things we need to do if truly want to get it right. And I draw the curtains to that, but I really appreciate you for being part of this program this evening. News will be coming your way at 8. Stay tuned and keep watching Global TV, DSTV channel 365. Again, my name is Topsy Gimba, and see you. Bye-bye.